Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this video we are going to test out our OUPES Mega 5 and see how long it will run the essentials in my house. Now, let me go ahead and explain to you all what essentials means. It means something different to everyone. So for example, the essentials in order for me to be able to run my house include the power that is needed in order to run my heater in case we lose energy during the winter time, my refrigerator, and my 2 freezers. And also, in case it's a long-term power outage, the water pump under my house as well, so that I can get water through my pipes and still be able to take a shower. In addition to being able to run some lights and my entertainment center. So what we're going to do today is, first I'm going to go ahead and show you the chickens so you can see how they're doing, because a lot of people like to see that. I got to go over there and feed them and see if we have any eggs. And I also marked a few eggs so that they can hopefully hatch into chicks. We'll see how that works out. And there is Lulu. Look at how big she's getting. There she is with Karma. She is a troublemaker. I'll tell you that much right now. But she is happy. She's growing really well. She's nice and healthy. And there is Big Red. That is Big Red with a couple of the ladies out here. A couple of the blondies, I call them. Here's one of the ones that I call brownies. I have no idea what kind of chickens these girls are. But they're also pretty healthy. And let's go ahead and get their food ready, because I have to fill their food bowl up. Now this is where I keep my food, and I usually put a mixture in there of chicken feed, which has 20% protein crumbles. It also has some scratch. It also has some scratch in it, and I always add some kind of bugs. In this case, it's mealworms. And I'm just going to go ahead and scoop it up from in there, put it in their 12-pound feeder, and that usually takes care of them for about between 2 to 3 days. Oh, and I forgot to add, it also has some grit in there, some oyster shell grit. And there are the ladies, and where's Poppy? Poppy's over there. There's Poppy behind Big Red, and look at that, there's 3 of them over there on top of the eggs, and they left me a couple of eggs here. So we're gonna have to go check under those 3 ladies over there and see if there's any new eggs besides the ones that I marked already. There you go. Now every time I come in here, ladies and gentlemen, while it's still below freezing outside, I always make sure that the heater is on, because sometimes they'll peck at it and turn it off. Now let me get these ladies out of the way, because I only have 2 hands, and then we'll see if we have any fresh eggs. And they are very protective over their eggs. You can see here, let me see real quick. This one doesn't have it. This one doesn't have it. This one. You can see that the eggs that have an X on it are eggs that are about a week old already that I leave here. And then I take the ones that are fresh that don't have an X. Hopefully these ones with an X on it will be chicks here in a few weeks. So today I got 5 eggs, which is not too bad. Usually I average around between 6 and 9 eggs a day. But I'll probably come back later on today and grab another 1 or 2 that they leave for me. So in my case, in order to keep my house running, I need to power my refrigerator, my freezers, for long term, my water pump, and in the winter time, of course, like I already stated, my heater. Now, since I have 2 freezers, and I would venture to guess that most people have a refrigerator, and if they have a freezer, that they have 1. I'm going to run both freezers at the same time so that the second freezer can mimic the energy used by my heater and having on some lights, and maybe even using my water pump every once in a while, which just maybe turns on like maybe 4 times a day. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing right. We did have another dusting of snow overnight. And as you can see there, I've taken the plow off of my truck. I don't believe that there's going to be enough snow in the future where I would need a plow. But if in case I do, it's easy to put right back on where it's at. All right, so we're back inside, ladies and gentlemen, and these are the 2 freezers that we are going to be powering with the OUPES Mega 5. So I hope that you can see those 2 outlets. There's one up high and there's one down low. Well, the one that's up high is the one that is hooked up to my breaker panel, to the grid, if you want to say that. This one down low is one that I placed there that will be hooked up to the Mega 5, and I'll show you how I did that. But I went ahead and ran a wire, actually an extension cord, because both of these freezers together only run about, on average, maybe 400 watts. And then I ran it all the way to the Mega 5, and that's what they're running off right now. Right now, they're running off of uninterrupted power supply off of the Mega 5, and then when we take the Mega 5 off the grid, they'll be running purely off of battery power. Now, this outlet is the one that services the refrigerator, and this one's the one that's hooked up to the grid. That one down there is the one that I'm getting hooked up, or that is currently hooked up to the Mega 5. And you can see that I didn't put a little piece of decorative conduit on this one. You can see the green wiring coming up through the floor. And for everyone, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to get on here and say, oh, AP, that's not up to code. Ladies and gentlemen, don't do anything that I show you. Do your own research and do what you're comfortable with. But the way that I see electricity, in a small scale at least, not in a big scale like in a power plant, the way I see it is extension cords. You're getting power from here and bringing it over here, and you need power here, so you're connecting it to here, etc. But that's how I see it. But anyways, I just had to get that out. Do your own research. This is the monster of a refrigerator slash freezer that my wife picked out. And at first I thought it was too big, but then I thought, you know what, you can't have too big of a refrigerator slash freezer. So this is what it looks like. I have to step a little bit far away. And this is what the rest of the kitchen looks like, unfinished, of course. We still need to put the handles on the cabinetry. We still have to do the backsplash. A lot of little things. And I actually scheduled someone to come in and pipe in some new piping for the liquid propane that's going to power this range. And this is what it looks like under the sink. Some people ask, why did you leave all that tubing? Well, just in case I ever need to move it, in case I ever need to make repairs, in case I ever need to cut some of it away. There's nothing else that's going to go down here with the exception of the RO system, the Q3, and a couple extra filters. That's all that's ever going to go down here. I put a little towel here just in case there's any kind of leaks. That way it'll be easy to detect because the towel will be damp. And so far, so good. No leaks whatsoever. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where I position my Mega 5 with the extra battery in my kitchen. Well, this is really my kitchen slash utility room because I have the extra 2 freezers in here, and I also have my washer and dryer in this large room as well. But this is where I position them, and you can see there that you see those 2 green extension cord wires coming up through the floor. So those are the wires that are connected to the outlets that are feeding the refrigerator and both of those freezers. The one on the left there is the one that's feeding the refrigerator, and what we're going to do with that one is we're going to connect this watt meter in order to see how much electricity the freezer uses the entire time that it's drawing from the battery power. Now right here you can see that it's working off of UPS, meaning that right now the power that is going to the refrigerator and both freezers is coming from the grid. But as soon as I unplug the Mega 5 from the grid, you should see that it continues to service both freezers and the refrigerator without it skipping a beat, meaning that it's not going to flash, it's not going to turn off or anything like that. Check it out. Well, AP, you said that you disconnected it from the grid, but I still see input wattage coming into the main unit of the Mega 5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something real quick so that you don't get confused. If you see right here, it says input 99 watts and output 134. The reason we have a 99 watt input is because at the same time that this unit is being drained of energy, it's also getting energy from the top unit, the battery. So you can see that this number 98 matches this number down here at the same time. Now let's go ahead and hook up our watt meter to the refrigerator side, which is this side, and then we'll be able to measure how much energy it's actually using for the entire time that we do this test. And you can see, I hope you can see this down here, that this meter is completely zeroed out. So we're going to go ahead and plug in our refrigerator. And immediately you can see that the timer on it started. I hope you can see that from up there. The timer on it did start, and it's actually showing wattage being used. So the time right now is about 10:45 in the AM on the 4th of April. I'm guessing that this is going to run probably close to a couple of days, if not more, with both batteries. I'm going to try to keep the batteries from getting less than 10% drained, and then after that we're going to charge them with a generator to see how much gasoline it will take to charge them back up. And here is the power cord that was connecting it to the grid. So now you know that it is completely off grid and all of the power is coming from the batteries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now exactly 24 hours after we started. It was around 10:45 in the morning yesterday when we started this, and it is now 10:45 in the morning on the 5th of April. Let's go ahead and click on there so we can see. So take a look at that. The main unit is sitting at 58% after 24 hours, and the extra battery is sitting at 66%. And you can see that right now we've got about 56 watts of output. That tells me that more than likely one of the freezers is running, not the refrigerator. And let's take a look at what this looks like here. So since the refrigerator doesn't look like it's running, I'm going to go ahead and unplug it, and I'm going to show you all how much wattage it used, or how many kilowatts it used in the 24 hours. That way it'll give you an idea of what a large refrigerator uses. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and switch. We're going to do the 2 freezers on the meter for the next 24 hours, after which we're going to see how much gasoline it takes to fill these units back up to between 80 and 90%. That way you know how much gas you would need to run your household in the case that you have no sun available. We're going to go ahead and disconnect this, and I'm going to reconnect it right away. And now we're going to take a look at how much wattage the refrigerator used. And I hope you can see that. It's upside down, but I'm going to try and turn it the other way so you can see it better on the screen. But there it just shows that this is the input voltage of about 118. And this right here shows 263 is the highest wattage that ever came out of there, even with a surge. So that tells me that that refrigerator is very efficient, being that the surge wattage was 263 watts. This is the max. All right, so right here is the wattage usage, ladies and gentlemen. In 24 hours, our large refrigerator used 1.476 kilowatts, meaning that it used 1,476 watt hours of electricity. That should give you a good idea as to about how much electricity a large refrigerator, maybe even one that you have, will use in a 24-hour period. Now, that also tells you what size solar generator you may want to purchase if you're only purchasing one to run a refrigerator or a freezer for a short amount of time during a power outage. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and reset this to 0. And now we're going to go ahead and take our freezer side and we're going to connect it to the meter. And then tomorrow I'll come back and finish it off, seeing how much energy the freezers actually used. That way it'll give you a baseline of what one freezer will use in a 24-hour period if we just cut that number in half. And again, just in case some of you don't understand how these numbers work, you see, take a look at this. The bottom number there is the input, which means that the Mega 5, the main unit, is getting 54 watts of power coming into it. The top number is the output, more than likely whatever the LCD panels are using, along with what the meter is using. And then you can take a look here. The extra battery has an output of 54 watts, which matches what the input of the downstairs unit is using. What they're doing is they're trying to equalize each other out now that there's nothing running off of them. It's 9:45 p.m. on the 6th of April, which means that we have been using the Mega 5 and the extra battery for 59 hours straight. And you can see that the top one is at 9%, the bottom one is at 13%. So let's say we have roughly about 11% or so left between both of them. Let's take a look and see how much energy both freezers used during this time. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect both freezers off of here, that way it'll be easier for us to see it. And you'll see that our watt meter here, it's upside down, but I'll try to switch it around for you all so it'll be easier for you to see. You can see that altogether in 59 hours minus the 24 hours that we recorded the watt usage for the refrigerator, we used 2 kilowatts for both freezers. That's pretty darn good. That's on average 1 kilowatt per freezer for 35 hours. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go disconnect the freezers and the refrigerator from our outlets that connect to these power cords right here. Connect them back to the grid. And then tomorrow morning we're going to go ahead and run a generator, and then we'll do some fuzzy math and see about how much money it takes if you were running these just on gasoline to power your essentials, let's say for a full month. There is Poppy, ladies and gentlemen. And I guess this is what my yard looks like when I'm a little bit elevated. Right now I'm on the back deck of my house, which is where I'm going to put the small generator, my little Honda generator, to see how much gas it will take to recharge my Mega 5 with the extra battery. This little Honda generator will put out 2,000 watts continuous, ladies and gentlemen, and it has a gas tank that is equal to 0.95 gallons of gasoline. And I already took care of filling it up right there outside on the driveway. And what we're going to do is run it until it's dry, because there's not going to be enough gas in there to completely fill the Mega 5 and the extra battery. And then we're going to measure how much more gas we put in there to finish filling it up. That way you will know how much gas you would need in order to run your household in the case that the only way you had to charge your Mega 5 or any other solar generator too, you can do this experiment at home, how much gas you would need in order to run it in the times where there may be no sunlight. Like for example, here in Alaska, there's no sunlight or barely any sunlight at all for a few months out of every year. And this way I'll know how much gas I have to put away in case something like that happens, where I need to rely on my solar generator and my little Honda generator during the dark months of the year in order to run my household. And now that it's running, I went ahead and plugged it in. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a 12 gauge power cord. As soon as I plug this in, it should turn on and it should show you what's coming in as far as wattage. And as soon as it turned on, I heard the generator out there stress for about a fraction of a second. Now this Mega 5 has two input speeds, one being 1800 watts and the other one being about 1,000. Right now I've got 1800 watts chosen because I want this unit to charge as soon as possible, because I am using a precious resource, gasoline. Now at 1800 watts, the 9,000 or so watt hours that I still have before I fill this up is going to take probably about a good 5, I'm guessing closer to 6 hours, because the closer that this machine gets to being full to 100%, the slower that it will accept the input. So I may stop it at about 90%, depending how much input there is going into the machine, because I certainly don't want to be running that generator just to be putting in 200 or 300 watts of energy per hour. There's about 1,700 or so watts coming into the bottom unit, the main unit, and about 670 or so going to the extra battery up here. There's nothing else connected to it, no solar, nothing's running off of it, so this should be a pretty good indication as to how much gas it's going to take to put X number of percentages of energy into the unit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can already hear some of you saying, AP, you should not have that generator in your back deck, especially when I have one of my doors cracked because I don't have my generator hardwired into my house to connect to my Mega 5. However, if you remember on a previous video where I showed you this, what I like to call the sniffer, this is called the top test, and it's a meter that measures the ppm, the parts per million of carbon monoxide in the air. Now I have this right next to my door. I have an alarm set on it that if the ppm get up to 15 that it will go off, but you can see that there is 0 ppm of carbon monoxide in the air present currently, and this is about 30-40 minutes after I started running my generator. And ladies and gentlemen, I am not affiliated with this company. I don't get a dime for telling you about it. I just think that this is a great product to have in your preps and for everyday use. I will leave a link for this on a pinned comment in case you want to take a look at it. Roughly an hour or so after we started the generator and hooked this up, we're at 27% with the main unit, and we're at 19% with the external battery. If I remember correctly, I think it was around, on average, 11% for both batteries, and now on average we've got 27 plus 19 is 46, so on average about 23% for the unit and the battery. In about an hour we've gained, I would say, just shy of about 2,000 watt hours, which is not bad. That's about what the generator is putting out. So I'll bring you all back when we run out of gasoline for the tank that we put in there, and then we'll measure the gas that goes in there again to see if we can tell how much it actually used to fill both of these units up. After 4 hours of runtime, it finally ran out of gas. Now, as you can see, I filled it all the way up to the top. And as you can see, out of that 0.95 gallons of gasoline, we got approximately 5,000 watt hours, because we started out with a combined roughly 23% between both units, and now you can see we have 123%, which means we got about 5,000 watt hours from that 0.95 gallons. I'm pretty sure that it's not going to take the full tank, the 0.95 gallons of gas in the generator, to finish filling these up, but let's see how long it takes until it gets to 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it decided to start snowing just as the solar generator, the Mega 5, got full. And it's been probably about 3 hours. It took about 7 full hours to charge it all the way to 100%. And it obviously took less than 2 gallons of gasoline. So tomorrow morning, since it's getting late in the evening today, we're going to do some AP math and see if this is worth doing for a long-term situation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the bunker. If you're still here, this is the fuzzy math part, or what I like to call AP math. We're going to break down the watt-hour usage by hour for each appliance. That way we can get a good total and we can determine how much gas we're going to need in order to run our household, at least my household, for an entire month. If you take a look at the very first one here, the refrigerator, remember we used about 1.4 kilowatt hours, or roughly 1,476 watt hours of electricity during the 24 hours that we had the refrigerator on the watt meter. And that came out to roughly 61 watt hours being used every single hour, which is really not too bad in my opinion. And if you take a look at the 2 freezers that were hooked up to the watt meter for 35 hours, they used a total of 2.019 kilowatt hours, or 2019 watt hours, for a total of about only 58 watt hours per hour on both of those freezers, which is really good. These appliances that they're making nowadays, man, it surprises me how efficient they really are, especially that huge refrigerator that we got. Now, if we take the watt hours for the refrigerator and both freezers and combine them on an hourly basis, it comes out to what? About 119 watt hours per hour for 59 hours straight, which comes out to 7,021 watt hours. Wait a minute, AP. I thought that the Mega 5 with the extra battery was a total of 10,080 watt hours. It is. Yes, it is. But we have to remember about this right here. If you remember, there was still about 11% in both units combined, which when you multiply it times the total number of watt hours, it comes out to about 1,108 watt hours that we left behind. But AP, that still doesn't make sense. Well, it really didn't make sense to me either, ladies and gentlemen. So what I have to call this is going to be the doing business ass tax. The difference between 8,129, which is the wattage that was left over, the watt hours that was left over in the 11%, and what we actually used, the 7,000 plus, and 10,080 watt hours, which is the total storage of both units combined, is 1,950 watt hours. So in that 59 hours that we continuously used the Mega 5 and the extra battery, we were being charged or taxed 33 watts per hour in order to be able to power all of our appliances, in addition to the power that they consumed. I really hope that makes sense. Well, AP, how much gasoline would you use in a 30-day period if all you had was a generator to provide power to your solar generator so that you can then therefore distribute it throughout your house? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've always said that a generator, gas generator, and a solar generator, they make a great team. They complement each other. And it's because, as you can see, that small generator I was using can have a continuous output of, I believe it was 2,000 or 2,200 watts continuous, but you would see that on average we only used 100 and change watts per hour from that solar generator. So instead of running that generator all the time for 59 hours and ending up using a lot more gas than what we used the gas that we needed to store the energy in the solar generator. And even after being taxed at about 33 watts per hour for the time that we used it, it's still a lot cheaper to do it that way. So let's say that we use 2 gallons for the 59 hours. If you take 60 hours, let's say, and divide it into 720 hours, which is how many hours there are in 30 days, you're going to come up with about 24 gallons of gasoline that you're going to need in order to power your Mega 5 for a full month, in order to therefore distribute the power to those critical items that you need in your house to continue to run during a power outage or a grid failure. So ladies and gentlemen, I know that people are going to have a lot of questions. Maybe I misspoke here or there when I was trying to talk about watt hour or watts. I have no idea. I haven't even gone back yet, obviously, because I'm filming this right now to edit this video. So what I'm going to say is this: if you have any questions about solar generators, if you have any questions about wattage usage or about watt hours or about volts or anything like that, I'm not a professional. I only know what I know from what I've learned over the years with messing around with these types of, equipment and tools, etc. Let's go ahead and talk about this coming Friday during our live stream at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you have any questions at all, like what size generator should I need? Well, this video should have answered that. What size generator should you need? And by the way, that meter that I use on this video is on my Amazon storefront. I think they're like 20 bucks. And in my opinion, it's a tool that is definitely worth having all the time. Anyways, let's talk about it this Friday during our live stream. So bring your questions. I'm actually looking forward to it. I hope that you got something out of this. At the very minimum, I hope that you can determine what size solar generator or generator you would need in order to power the essentials in your home. Having said that, have a great day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.